This presentation will discuss the public health law surrounding Legionella and cooling towers. Legionella is a waterborne bacteria that can cause significant respiratory infections. It is a persistent environmental hazard that can be exacerbated by cooling towers. Cooling towers are ubiquitous throughout major cities and towns and are used in the cooling of major buildings such as office blocks, hospitals, and other public spaces like museums and libraries. Because of this, it is a major target of public health regulation. During my talk, I will give a brief overview of the Legionella bacteria and of the infections it can cause. I will discuss the legislative controls designed to protect public safety, as well as the requirements for risk management plans, the responsibilities of cooling tower operators, and the response required to positive testing of cooling tower water. The Legionella bacteria is a gram-negative bacteria naturally found in freshwater environments. Its natural host is amoeba, and there are many Legionella species. However, Legionella pneumophila is the species most responsible for disease within humans. Legionella has an incubation period of about 2 to 10 days in humans, and most commonly causes pneumonia, which is also known as Legionnaire's disease. It can also result in a more mild respiratory infection, which is known as Pontiac fever. It mainly affects people that have a predisposing condition, in particular people that are smokers or those with cardiac or renal disease, and it is of a particular important condition in patients that are immunocompromised, such as those that have had transplants. In these patients, it has a reported fatality rate of up to 50%. It is thought that of patients hospitalized for pneumonia, approximately 15% are caused by Legionella. It's transmitted by aerosol form, which is why cooling towers are a particular concern as a source of infection. And the infection is usually detected by a urine antigen test. However, culture of the patient's sputum remains the gold standard. Legionella can be controlled in water via two main methods. The first is via temperature. The bacteria has an optimum temperature between 20 and 45 degrees. Below 20 degrees, the bacteria survives but remains dormant. Above about 45 degrees, the bacteria will be killed, and at 70 degrees, the bacteria is killed instantly. There are several chemicals that can be used to control Legionella, and these include chlorine-based biocides. From time to time, there are Legionella outbreaks within Victoria, which are often covered by the media. The largest outbreak to date occurred at the Melbourne Aquarium in 2000, which resulted in 125 confirmed cases, 95 of which required hospitalization, with 4 people passing away. Legionella is a notifiable disease in Victoria, and this allows for the prompt recognition and investigation of outbreaks so that sources can be rapidly identified. There are two main pieces of legislation that deal with Legionella and cooling towers. The first is the Public Health and Wellbeing Act 2008, and Part 7, Division 1 deals specifically with Legionella and cooling towers. The second piece of legislation is the Public Health and Wellbeing Regulations 2009, and again, Part 7, Division 1 deals with this problem, as well as Schedule 4, which lists Legionella as a notifiable disease. As part of the Public Health and Wellbeing Act 2008, all cooling towers must be registered with the state government. This is the responsibility of the owner of the land on which the tower is situated, and towers can be registered for no more than 3 years at a time. The Act also states that cooling tower operators must have a risk management plan, and that this plan is to be audited annually by an approved person. An approved person is outlined within the Act. Owners or operators must also keep accurate records of the treatment, maintenance, and operation of cooling towers. Risk management plans must address specific risks, including stagnant water, nutrient growth, appropriate water quality, deficiencies within the cooling tower operational maintenance, as well as list the location and how the cooling tower can be accessed. This is to ensure compliance with the appropriate regulations, and risk management plans are to be completed on an approved form and reviewed every 12 months. The Public Health and Wellbeing Regulations 2009 sets out several responsibilities of cooling tower owners or operators. It states that cooling towers must be continuously treated with appropriate biocides, biodispersants, as well as chemicals to minimize scaling and corrosion. It also states that cooling towers must be serviced every month and that they must be disinfected, cleaned, and re-disinfected every 6 months or after the tower has been idle. It also states that cooling tower water must be tested every month for heterotrophic colony count, or HCC, and tested every 3 months for Legionella. If the HCC test returns a result of greater than 200,000 colony-forming units of bacteria, then the owner of the tower must manually treat the tower with additional biocide and review the treatment operation and maintenance programs so that any faults can be corrected. The water must be retested in 2 to 7 days, and if it still remains positive, then the tower must be disinfected, and this process repeated until an appropriate result is received or the tower is shut down. If the specific test for Legionella is positive, then the tower must be disinfected and its treatment, operation and maintenance programs reviewed so that any faults can be corrected. The water must be retested 2 to 7 days later, and if remains positive, the tower must be disinfected, cleaned and re-disinfected until 2 consecutive negative samples are returned or the tower is shut down. If in the course of testing 3 consecutive positive samples are obtained, the tower must be notified to the government department. If a tower is suspected as the source of a Legionella outbreak, the government department will contact the owner and a sample will be taken immediately from the tower. If this is positive, the tower is to be decontaminated as directed by the appropriate government department. Thank you for listening to my presentation.